For an entire World Cup, it felt like Argentina kept finding a way to escape the spotlight when things got ugly. A questionable call here, a missed punishment there, and suddenly the conversation moved on. Critics accused FIFA of looking the other way, especially when moments involving Argentine players sparked outrage around the football world. There were private messages praising professionalism, public statements about fair play, and a growing belief among some fans that Argentina was receiving special treatment. Every time controversy followed the team, many felt the issue faded away before real consequences arrived. But now, that pattern has been broken. FIFA has taken the step it avoided throughout much of the tournament, putting serious accusations into official documents. This is no longer just about heated moments, bad tackles, or emotional reactions after a match. The language being used is much more serious. Assault allegations involving players from the same team that faced months of criticism. And once a formal case is opened, everything changes. It cannot simply be brushed aside or forgotten. Records are created, investigations move forward, and answers are demanded. So let's break down exactly what has been filed, why the Argentine Football Federation is now being pulled into the storm, and why this could become one of the biggest controversies surrounding the team in years. The headline alone is enough to grab attention because FIFA's wording is far stronger than many expected. After a week-long review led by an independent prosecutor looking into the scenes after the final, FIFA's disciplinary committee officially opened proceedings. The list of allegations is serious. Leandro Paredes is facing 3 separate assault counts. 3! Nahuel Molina is facing 2 assault-related counts, one involving an alleged completed incident and another involving an alleged attempt, along with an additional charge connected to unsporting conduct. This is the type of situation that can completely change the conversation around a team, because now the focus is no longer just on what happened on the pitch, but on what happened after the final whistle. Assistant coach Roberto Ayala is also facing an assault charge, while Thiago Almada has been hit with a charge related to unsporting behaviour. Then came a surprising development that caught many fans off guard. Spain's own Gavi has also been charged with unsporting behaviour. But the biggest attention is clearly on the assault allegations involving Paredes, Molina, and Ayala. Those are the charges carrying the most serious consequences, and they could create major problems if FIFA's disciplinary process confirms the accusations. According to FIFA's disciplinary rules, an assault charge can lead to a suspension of at least 3 matches, with the possibility of an even longer punishment depending on the details of the case. If the allegations are proven, Argentina could be without several important figures for a significant period of time. And the reason this situation exploded so quickly is because the moments being investigated were seen by millions around the world. The footage became one of the biggest talking points after the final. Paredes was at the center of the controversy. During the chaos, he appeared to make contact with Spain's Eric Garcia with an open hand, sending him down. Moments later, Paredes and Almada were involved in a confrontation that ended with Gavi going to the ground. Molina was also pulled into the investigation after footage appeared to show him making contact with Spain captain Rodri during the celebrations. Meanwhile, Ayala, a member of the coaching staff, was caught on camera during an exchange with Dani Olmo, an incident he later described as more of a push rather than anything more serious. 3 players and 1 coach. Multiple allegations, multiple official charges. This is no longer just online debate, fan arguments, or people reacting emotionally after a heated match. This is a formal disciplinary case with specific counts attached. And when you look at the numbers, the pressure becomes even heavier. A 3-match suspension is only the starting point for a single assault charge. Paredes alone is facing 3 separate counts, meaning the potential consequences could become much bigger than anyone expected. When you add all those charges together and consider the circumstances around them, the situation becomes much more serious. These incidents did not happen during a random league match with a small audience. They happened after a World Cup final, with cameras everywhere and millions of people watching around the world. That is exactly why the potential punishment could be much heavier than a simple warning. If FIFA decides the allegations are proven, the suspensions could impact a major part of Argentina's upcoming schedule. This is not the kind of situation where someone simply gets a small fine and moves on. Molina's case also carries major risk. With 2 assault-related counts, along with an unsporting behavior charge, he could be facing a significant disciplinary battle of his own. And then there is Ayala's situation, which stands out for a completely different reason. A coach being accused in an incident like this is extremely unusual. Players can lose control during heated moments, but coaching staff are expected to calm situations down, separate players, and prevent things from escalating, not become part of the confrontation. But one of the most surprising details in the entire case involves Gavi. The Spain midfielder, who was involved in the clash with Argentine players, has also been charged with unsporting behavior. Yes, the same player many people viewed as being on the receiving end of the incident is now included in the official disciplinary process. The situation becomes even more complicated because Gavi had previously spoken publicly and suggested that he did not believe the Argentine players deserved major punishment. He described those moments as part of the intense, physical side of football. Now, he finds himself listed on the same disciplinary document as the players involved in the confrontation with him. That detail changes the entire conversation. It suggests FIFA's investigation was not simply targeting one team or one side of the conflict. Instead, the process appears to have included everyone involved, which makes it harder for critics to claim the case is just about blaming Argentina. And that brings us to the key point that separates this situation from every controversy before it. This is no longer just about opinions, emotions, or fans choosing sides. This is about an official process with consequences. Remember the red card controversy that seemed to vanish right in front of everyone? During the middle of that heated confrontation, FIFA's own system appeared to show a red card for Paredes. Then, almost immediately, it disappeared, and no punishment was handed out during the match. For many fans, that moment became the perfect example of their frustration with how FIFA handled Argentina throughout the tournament. A controversy would appear, people would demand answers, and then the situation seemed to fade away without a clear explanation. But this time, things are different. A formal disciplinary case cannot simply be erased. An official document cannot quietly disappear once it has been released. The investigation is now part of the record, and FIFA has to follow through. FIFA confirmed that the individuals involved have been given the chance to respond to the allegations before the disciplinary committee makes its final decision. In simple terms, the process is active, public, and moving forward. There is no easy way to make the issue disappear before people notice. But the players are only one part of this massive situation. FIFA also opened a separate investigation into the Argentine Football Association, and this case reaches far beyond the post-match confrontation. The federation is now facing a wide range of alleged violations connected to different moments during the tournament. These include accusations involving political demonstrations during sporting events, team misconduct, discriminatory behavior, and failures related to security and match regulations. The official case reportedly points to several issues, including alleged discriminatory chants and gestures, delays in starting matches, problems following security procedures, messages displayed by players or supporters, and objects being thrown from the stands. This changes the scale of the controversy completely. It is no longer just about a few players losing control after an emotional final. Now, the spotlight is also on the organization surrounding the team and whether proper standards were maintained throughout the tournament. For FIFA, this creates a much bigger challenge. The focus is not only on individual actions, but also on whether the entire environment around the team crossed lines that football's governing body believes cannot be ignored. Look at that list again carefully. This is not being described as one emotional moment or one bad night after a huge match. FIFA's case suggests a much wider issue, with allegations connected to Argentina's behavior throughout the tournament. For weeks, fans and critics debated whether certain situations were being ignored. Now, those same concerns are appearing inside an official disciplinary process. The conversation has moved from social media arguments and fan reactions into a formal investigation. And a federation-level case creates a completely different type of pressure. This is not just about one player missing a few matches. The responsibility can reach the entire organization. The Argentine Football Association could face financial penalties, official sanctions, and long-term damage to its reputation if FIFA's findings go against them. The discrimination and racist abuse allegations are especially serious. FIFA has repeatedly presented itself as an organization committed to fighting discrimination in football, so these types of accusations are among the most sensitive issues it handles. That means the AFA is not simply responding to one controversy, it is now dealing with multiple areas of concern at the same time, from player conduct to fan behavior and organizational responsibility. But before getting deeper into the wider federation case, there is another important piece connected directly to the assault investigation. Ayala, the assistant coach involved in the incident with Dani Olmo, later addressed the situation and offered an apology. However, his statement also included an explanation that created more controversy. Ayala said he regretted what happened, but argued that the contact was more of a shove rather than a punch, while also suggesting that something Olmo said contributed to the moment. Olmo strongly rejected that version of events. The Spain player publicly questioned the apology and said he had not done anything to provoke the confrontation. In his view, an apology loses meaning when someone continues to defend the action afterward. That reaction added another layer to an already heated situation. Instead of closing the discussion, the exchange between Ayala and Olmo kept the spotlight on the incident and raised more questions about accountability after the final. So the only apology that came from Argentina's side arrived with an explanation attached, and that immediately became part of the controversy. Ayala expressed regret, but by defending the action at the same time, many felt the message became less about taking responsibility and more about explaining it away. And now, the same person who gave that statement is facing a formal assault charge. In situations like this, an apology carries much more weight when it focuses on accountability rather than trying to justify what happened. Now, the spotlight moves to one of the biggest parts of FIFA's case against the Argentine Football Association, the banner incident. After Argentina defeated England in the semi-final in Atlanta, several Argentine players, including Giovanni Lo Celso and Nicolas Otamendi, joined the celebrations with a banner taken from supporters. The players displayed it on the field before placing it across the grass during the post-match celebrations. The message on the banner read, "Las Malvinas son Argentinas," which translates to, "The Malvinas are Argentine." The Malvinas is the Argentine name for the Falkland Islands, a British overseas territory in the South Atlantic that Argentina has claimed for decades. And this is where the issue became a FIFA matter instead of simply a political debate. Football's governing rules are clear about political messages during matches and official football events. Political slogans, symbols, or demonstrations are restricted, regardless of whether people support or disagree with the message. So, from FIFA's perspective, the controversy is not about deciding who is right in the territorial dispute, it is about whether a football event was used as a platform for a political statement. The historical dispute itself is extremely complex, and opinions around it remain deeply divided. The focus here is on the football rules and why FIFA considered the display something that needed to be reviewed. For context, the Falkland Islands have been under British control since the 19th century, while Argentina continues to claim sovereignty over them. The dispute led to the 1982 Falklands War, a 74-day conflict between Argentina and the United Kingdom that resulted in more than 900 deaths, including 649 Argentine military personnel, 255 British military personnel, and 3 civilians. That history explains why the banner carried such strong emotions, but FIFA's concern centers on keeping political conflicts separate from the football stage. This is not a simple issue for either side involved. The history behind the Falklands dispute carries deep emotions, which is exactly why bringing that message onto a World Cup stage was always going to create a massive reaction. And that reaction came quickly. The controversy spread beyond football almost immediately. A spokesperson connected to the UK government responded by making it clear that while the World Cup itself is a global sporting event, the United Kingdom's position on the Falkland Islands remains unchanged. Meanwhile, a representative connected to the US World Cup task force defended the Argentine players, pointing toward principles of free expression. Suddenly, a banner displayed during a football celebration became a subject discussed by governments, not just fans and analysts. And that is exactly why FIFA has rules against political messages during matches and official competitions. The goal is to prevent international disputes and political conflicts from taking over the football stage. But this situation also carries another layer because it was not the first time Argentina had faced consequences over a similar display. Back in 2014, FIFA fined Argentina after players displayed a Falklands-related banner before a friendly match against Slovenia. The punishment showed that the governing body had already addressed this type of incident before. That history is what makes the current controversy more complicated. Critics argue the team was already aware of the rules and had previously faced consequences for similar actions. So the debate is not only about a single emotional celebration after a major victory, it is also about whether this was a repeat situation after earlier warnings. Now, when you place the player conduct allegations and the federation case side by side, the full situation becomes much bigger, and the pressure on Argentina's football leadership grows even heavier. Argentina's situation has now grown into something much larger than one controversial moment. In one tournament, 3 players and a coach are facing disciplinary action connected to the post-final confrontation, with 3 of those cases involving assault allegations. At the same time, the Argentine Football Association is dealing with a separate federation-level investigation involving alleged political demonstrations, team misconduct, discrimination-related issues, and security concerns across multiple matches. That is an enormous amount of controversy connected to a single World Cup campaign. And the timing makes it even more dramatic because this happened to a team that came incredibly close to history. Argentina entered the tournament looking to become the first back-to-back World Cup champions since Brazil achieved that feat in 1962. Instead of ending with another trophy celebration, their title defense became one of the most heavily scrutinized campaigns in recent memory. Now comes the question many fans have been asking: did FIFA protect Argentina throughout the tournament, or did the organization finally reach a point where it had to take action? Look at how the entire storyline developed. Throughout the competition, critics accused FIFA of giving Argentina favorable treatment from controversial decisions to moments where fans believed punishments were avoided. The debate became even louder after the final, when FIFA's leadership publicly praised Argentina's professionalism, while a disciplinary investigation was reportedly moving forward behind the scenes. That timing created a major public relations problem. Imagine the sequence. Football's governing body celebrating a team's conduct while its own disciplinary process is examining serious allegations involving members of that same team. That contrast immediately became a talking point around the sport. If FIFA's investigation results in confirmed violations, those earlier statements of praise could become a major source of criticism. Many would question whether the organization acted too slowly or whether it failed to recognize warning signs sooner. The bigger issue is not just one match, one player, or one incident. It is the entire timeline, the controversial moments, the public reactions, the official investigations, and the decisions made by football's leadership. And now, with formal proceedings on the record, FIFA faces pressure to show that the rules apply equally, no matter how successful or powerful the team involved may be. After the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, Argentina also faced criticism over their celebrations, but the consequences were limited. The punishment ended with a fine of around $25,000, and no players received suspensions. For many critics, it created the impression that FIFA was willing to open cases, but stopped short of serious action. That approach, however, becomes much harder when the details are placed into an official disciplinary record. By formally opening assault-related proceedings and making the case public, FIFA has created a situation where every decision will face heavy attention. The organization cannot simply treat this like a minor controversy and move forward as if nothing happened. The reason is simple. These are not just general complaints or fan reactions. The charges are connected to specific rules inside FIFA's disciplinary system. If violations are confirmed, FIFA will have to explain why the punishment matches the seriousness of the findings. The same applies to the Federation investigation. Once FIFA publicly identifies the alleged violations, the process becomes something that supporters, media, and football officials will continue watching closely. This creates a difficult position for football's governing body. If the response appears too weak, critics may argue that powerful teams receive different treatment. If the punishment is serious, FIFA will have to defend why this case required stronger action than previous controversies. The spotlight is now on FIFA itself. But there is an important point that cannot be ignored. A charge is not the same thing as a conviction. Being investigated does not automatically mean someone is guilty. FIFA's own process allows the accused parties to respond, provide evidence, and defend their actions before any final decision is made. Paredes, Molina, Ayala, and the Argentine Football Association all have the right to present their side of the story. Some allegations could be reduced, changed, or dismissed, depending on what the disciplinary committee finds. That is how a fair process is supposed to work. Even when footage creates a strong reaction from fans, official decisions still have to come after a complete review of the facts. Accountability and due process are both part of the same system. So while the accusations have created a massive storm around Argentina, the final outcome will depend on the evidence, the arguments presented, and the ruling FIFA ultimately makes. It is also important to remember that Spain's Gavi was included in the disciplinary process as well, which challenges the idea that FIFA was only targeting Argentina. The investigation reached multiple people involved in the incidents, not just one side of the confrontation. That detail matters because it shows the process was not simply focused on blaming one team. FIFA's review included different actions and different individuals, even when the circumstances around each case were not identical. The banner controversy also has a deeper human side that cannot be ignored. The Malvinas issue is connected to history, national identity, and painful memories for many Argentines. For the players involved, displaying that message may have represented a personal belief rather than a simple attempt to create controversy. At the same time, FIFA's rules exist because football organizers want major competitions to remain separate from political disputes. So even if people understand the emotion behind the message, the question for FIFA is whether the action crossed a line established by tournament regulations. And that is why every part of the case should be viewed differently. A political message violation and an alleged physical confrontation are not the same type of issue. They involve different rules, different circumstances, and potentially different consequences. A fair disciplinary process has to consider those differences instead of treating every allegation as equal. But this is where the entire situation reaches its biggest moment. For weeks, the main debate surrounding Argentina was whether FIFA was applying the same standards to them that it would apply to any other team. Now, for the first time, there is an official answer taking shape, and it exists in written form. That is what separates this controversy from previous ones. A controversial decision during a match can disappear into history. A missed call can become another debate among fans. Even public statements can eventually be forgotten. But an official disciplinary case involving serious allegations is different. Once it enters the record, it becomes something FIFA has to address publicly. The organization now has to prove that its rules are not based on popularity, reputation, or the size of a team's fan base. The final decisions will show whether FIFA truly applies the same standard across the sport. Then came the moments that changed everything. Argentina's players were involved in incidents that FIFA's disciplinary system is now reviewing as possible violations, including serious allegations connected to the post-final confrontation. At the same time, the Argentine Football Association is facing a separate investigation involving claims related to political messaging, match conduct, security responsibilities, and discrimination-related issues. Now, FIFA has reached the stage where it must make decisions publicly and officially. The organization has to show that its rules apply consistently, regardless of the team involved. If the findings lead to major punishments, FIFA will be acknowledging that the incidents were serious enough to require strong action. But if the response is viewed as too weak, critics who have questioned FIFA's treatment of Argentina will feel their concerns were justified. That is the difficult position FIFA now faces. A heavy punishment could raise questions about why earlier praise and positive statements were made while these investigations were developing. A lighter response could create even more debate about whether football's biggest teams receive different treatment. Either way, the attention is no longer only on Argentina. FIFA's own credibility is now part of the conversation. What started as a chaotic scene after the final whistle has grown into a much larger disciplinary matter involving players, coaching staff, the National Federation, and the organization responsible for enforcing the rules. Argentina entered the tournament trying to protect their place in history. Instead, they are leaving with a serious list of allegations still hanging over the campaign. And FIFA, after hosting one of football's biggest events, now faces a major test of leadership and consistency. Because this time, the situation cannot simply fade away. The official records exist, the investigation is public, and the final decisions will be judged by fans around the world. So now the biggest question remains, what do you think happens next? Will FIFA deliver a serious punishment, or will this become another controversy that ends without the answers many people are demanding? When the disciplinary decisions finally arrive, the biggest question will be whether FIFA delivers a serious response or finds a way to avoid the pressure once again. What do you think happens next? Drop your opinion below. The moment the committee announces the official punishments, I'll be breaking down every suspension, every decision, and every major detail right here. This story is far from finished, and the next chapter could change the entire conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with others who want the latest updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.